Hey everyone, Jeremy here. It is Wednesday night and we're going to create some art. It's going to be awesome. I apologize for yesterday. I was kind of caught up with a non-art related project that was due pretty quickly. So I had to take the night and work through that and get that done. But I'm here now and it's not like we haven't done a Wednesday live stream in the past. Sometimes these are fun and it's going to be fun tonight. So what are we working on? It's been a while since I've done a coffee painting, and by a while I mean a couple of weeks. The last one I actually did was for those Maker Mark bottles. So I thought I'd do another coffee painting. Um, Package X said Jeremy was busy inking a deal. No, no, unfortunately not. The coffee painting we're working on tonight is of a cute little raccoon. I've been wanting to do a raccoon for a while. We've got a person in our audience here that has a raccoon inspired room, so it's already got a home to live in once I'm done with it. But I've been wanting to do a raccoon just to not complete my collection, but add to my collection of wildlife critters. And I always thought like a raccoon is definitely one to add to it. So I'm just going to jump right in. A couple of people already in the room tonight. We've got Packer Jack, we got OK Larry, we got Rome Dog, we got Kid. Kid's the one that's got the raccoon inspired room. So this is the recipient of this art that we're working on tonight. So I've already kind of sketched out where I want it to be. It's kind of like a very rough sketch, almost cartoony. But basically, your standard raccoon, and we're going to create some coffee art. It's going to be cool. So I'm going to start off. Oh, Tom's in the room too. Cool, neat. So I'm going to start off. The reason why I really wanted to work on a coffee painting tonight is like I don't want to forget how to do them. It has been a little bit of time, and I don't want to. I don't want to lose that skill set because they have been coming out pretty consistently, like looking similar to each other. So I wanted to make sure that I continue practicing so that I don't lose that aspect of them. So at this point, I'm just kind of like dabbing in some areas that I kind of want to drip. You guys know the deal. We're gonna apply some gravity to this. Um, an update on the. Oh, Kevin's in the house too. Hey, Kevin, how's it going? Um, I'm here, but casting you to the TV. Oh, cool. Yeah. Um, Yeah. So update on those bottles. I did drop the mine off on Friday. I mentioned that on the community tab, but I haven't mentioned in person, I don't think. So those are delivered. Let's get some gravity going here, get some drips going. I'm gonna go ahead and let that one run and try to get this other one to drip. Come on. Come on. There you go. All right. At least two drips. It's funny, I'm talking to it like, come on, you can do it. You can do a little drip. Clean myself up a little bit. All right. So I think I always like to have these drips in it. I may add some more later, but I always like just for some reason that inspires me to continue with the coffee style. So I always have to get those drips in there. And then the rest of it is just kind of like, just applying a base coat to it so that I know where everything is. You guys know the deal. Sounds like we'll get a storied tale nonetheless. Well, there's that. I could do the raccoon tail, but I don't know if it's going to fit in here. I have kind of a love-hate relationship with raccoons myself. I may have mentioned this, but I grew up terrified of raccoons. Not really grew up, but like I don't know. When I was a teenager, I went camping one time, and a raccoon came up and was like sniffing my ear, and like that scared the crap out of me. So they're adorable, they're cute. I love them from a distance, but I'm a little afraid of them in the wild. Like I'm afraid they're kind of sneaky little guys, little trash pandas. But yeah, I just love the way they look. They're adorable creatures. Yeah. For those of you who don't know, the last raccoon I did was kind of like a white on black paper drawing, and I think that was done in white charcoal, and it turned out really nice. And I sent that to Kid so that she can put it up in her raccoon inspired room. I don't know, like if that's just a room in your house or if you run like a bed and breakfast or something where you have inspired rooms. I don't know what the deal is there and stuff, but I think it's cool that you have a raccoon inspired room. I wish I had like in different rooms that were inspired by different topics. They'd probably all be like nerdy things. Like I would probably do like a Harry Potter inspired room or like a Star Wars inspired room or something like that. But I don't know. Wildlife is kind of cool too. So I did get to check out some of those bottles that were there when I turned mine in. Some of them are pretty good. I can't honestly say that mine is the best. It's not, and my dad's isn't the best either. Um, the best one was you'll be able to see them because I think the online auction starts on the 5th, and then they're having that private auction on like the 11th. But on the 5th of April, you should be able to go and view a gallery of all of the different things, and they're really cool. Like, I mean, mine was just because it was like bourbon, and I thought like, hey, it'd be kind of fun to do this, but the idea of painting bottles is apparently something that people do a lot, and I might actually do some more of these in the future. It was kind of fun. Uh, my take on it was like I did the coffee painting and then I attached it to the bottle, but I wouldn't mind actually just painting a bottle. Using paint that's made for glass and stuff. That looked like that was a lot of fun. And afterwards, I realized that people do these things like all the time and stuff. Like, um, I saw one lady who actually paints bourbon bottles for like a not a living, but as one of the things that she paints. She does these like regularly as like housewarming gifts and things like that. I thought that was kind of cool. I think it'd be kind of cool, especially in Kentucky. Like if you buy a house and somebody gives you a bottle of bourbon as a housewarming gift, and then it's painted with your house on it, or like a family portrait or something like that. I think that's kind of cool. So I might do some more painting on bottles in the future. I don't know. It was a lot of fun. I I'm on their list to receive like emails whenever they have other projects. Like I'm hoping they do another Horse Mania because those are really cool. I'm gonna have to show you guys what the Horse Mania thing is, but Horse Mania, it's basically they have like life-size horse mannequins and they're all painted in different themes and stuff. It's really cool. But yeah, I'll have to find some around town and take a picture of it and show it to you guys. They've been doing a couple of those. Like they just did one, I think, in 2021 or 2022. So it'll be a while before they do another one, but they've been doing them since like 2010. So I'm sure they're going to do another one at some point, and I will participate. I will participate in that one. It's a lot of fun, Like if I'd known that they were doing these type of community type projects and stuff, and like if I had known this in the past, I probably would have participated in more of them. I don't remember how I learned about this one. I obviously I got an email, but like that's so weird that they wanted bourbon bottles done because like I'm all about the bourbon and art, so it's just a perfect combination for me. Anyway, Larry says, "Kid, you're gonna need a bigger wall." Yeah. Um, she's got a couple of raccoon things. They're not all like my pictures. There's a couple of raccoons that I didn't do, which I'm a little jealous of. I'm gonna have to do more raccoons for you, kids, so that you can replace your other raccoons with my raccoons. But it's all raccoons. It's really cool, like raccoon pictures, raccoon paintings, drawings, and such. I think even raccoon pillows, which is cool. Um, we have you live in the mountains, so a lot of people have themed cabins. That makes sense. Yeah, bear, moose, etc. So I made a raccoon bedroom for the grandkids. Jeremy, what was the title of the owl bottle? So the owl bottle, great question. I'm not sure where we landed. So I came in there and I was like, look, I don't know what I want to title these. I just want them to be kind of like coffee inspired things so that, like if it's just the title, the person realizes that this is a coffee painting. Um, that was like one of the things I said is like, if you're not going to put like a little description next to it that it was painted in coffee, I need that to be part of the title so that they know that it's done in coffee. So I was like, I don't know exactly what to title these things. So I went through a number of ones with them, and I forget which ones all I suggested, but I kind of left it up to them. I know that the deer was named dark roast deer, and there was a couple of things thrown out for the owl, and I don't remember exactly what they were, and I don't know which ones they wrote down. So for all I know, they could have wrote down something that they came up with because I allowed them to come up with something. Um, they could have written down one of my terrible suggestions. I don't know. I honestly do not know what the owl is named at this point. It could be named, um, Coffee Owl. It could be Juan Owl Valdez, like, which was one of the name suggestions I had. It's kind of like Juan Valdez, but with owl in it. Juan Owl Valdez. I don't. Yeah, it's lame. I should not have even mentioned that. That was terrible. So I don't know what the. Hopefully the owl has a better name than that. Um, but I guess we'll find out. They've been posting some pictures of people, ones that people have dropped off. I haven't seen them post mine yet, or I don't know, like the day I dropped it off, maybe they weren't taking pictures or something. I haven't seen it posted anywhere yet, but once I do, I'll share that. Because the pictures got to be better than the ones I took. The ones I took were kind of like, I don't know, I just needed to take a picture real quick, and I wasn't too happy with the pictures I took, but I don't know. It's not like a contest or anything, so I guess like my part in it's done, I suppose, or it's not like there are some bottles that are supposed to be selected for that Maker's Mark Museum, but I don't know. There's some really good ones, guys. Like I am under no misconception that mine is in the top tier. I think it turned out okay though. I think it, I'm proud of it because mine are unique. It's not like there were any other coffee painting ones. Most of them are pretty traditionally painted. There was one or two that were done in watercolor, so I guess that would be the closest to my coffee painted ones. But even that one, there was a lot of horses. Like, I'm glad I didn't do a horse because I wanted mine to kind of be different. So I'm glad I didn't do a horse. But it's Lexington, Kentucky, so you're gonna get that kind of stuff. You're gonna get things for the Derby, things for Keeneland, which is another racetrack, horse racing and stuff. Coonskin hats for the grandkids. Do kids wear those still? I know that was big back in the day with the whole Daniel Boone thing, or Davy Crockett, maybe. I don't know, maybe both. Davy Crockett. There's a. I should not sing, but yeah. Um, I think the online auction starts. I don't know when it ends, but I think it starts on the 5th. So all of these will be up online for viewing by then. You'll be able to see pictures of my dad's, some other artists. There's one that was really good. Like it's my favorite, and I talked to my dad. He agrees. We both think that this one kind of blew ours away. Oh yeah, so you still want to see my dad's bottles? How can I show that to you? I don't know if I can. All right, give me 1 second. I can do that. I can show you. I think. Um, I think I can show that to you. Uh, Let me see if I can find a picture of it. And bear with me 1 second. It's in here somewhere. Because they posted a picture. Yeah, here it is. They posted a picture of my dad's, but they didn't post a picture of mine. So let's see if I can add. This is kind of fun. So this is like me learning OBS Studio. So let me add that, and then see if I can add this bottle Don't know if this is going to work, guys, but all right. Yeah. Oh, wow. That's really big. Hold on. Let me shrink that down. Doo-doo-doo. Yeah. So this is my dad's. What does this even look like? This is fun, like kind of life. There we go. Okay. All right. So this is my dad's bottle. So he did like kind of a sculpture kind of thing. So he went very Maker's Mark inspired. So this is him using Sculpey to decorate the bottle. And what you've got is a wagon with the bourbon barrels in it. You've got some bourbon barrels down at the bottom. This isn't the best picture of it. Like I feel like this doesn't really do it justice because it looks a lot cooler in person than it does here. Like the colors are a little off and stuff. But that's the route he went. He went and this is just one of his. I forget what his other one was. Oh, his other one was like a glass of bourbon in his hand. So let me go ahead and delete that. And yeah, all right. So back to painting. But anyway, so like I promised I would show it to you. I should probably put that on the community tab, but you guys were curious. Um, it's a live show. It's kind of fun to like throw up a picture like during the live show. I'm gonna have to get a little better at that so that's not as awkward. But yeah, so that's the one my dad did. His was more sculptural than mine, um, but he got his done a lot quicker. Like his was done within a week of being assigned it. So I mean, I thought I was pretty impressed with it. I thought it was cool, and don't tell him that. Like it'll go to his head. Like as far as he needs to know, his was the worst one. No, I'm just kidding. Actually, of the sculpted ones, his is probably like one of the better ones. Again, his is like really super unique. Some of them are kind of fun in. Now there is one that had sculptural elements that we both agree kind of like blew ours away. It's you'll see it like when these go up, but it's like Bumblebee inspired, and it's got like these like little glass colored glass pieces representing like honeycombs, and then it's got these like little uh like handcrafted bees and stuff. I mean, it's really cool, and it just looks really nice and clean and stuff like that. Like ours looks handcrafted, that one looks like it was like manufactured somewhere. It's really nice. So anyway, if there was a vote on which ones was the best, I would probably vote for that one. And I haven't seen all of them, so probably it's a little too early to vote, but I really like that one. Oh, and the other thing is, oh, you're welcome. Yeah, I'm happy to show it. Sorry I didn't show it earlier. I've just been really busy the past week. Got a couple of software projects I'm trying to get wrapped up. Um, like I'm not on my A game this week. I'm kind of probably on my C game as far as like getting things done that like I want to get done. Like I have some artwork I promised to send out like if Mama Q's still in the room, I promised to send her out that Harry Potter picture. I haven't done that yet. I haven't finished OK Larry's picture. His poor dogs are still half finished. Like I am sorry about that. I will get them done. I've just been super busy. Hey, puppy. Bear just wants to join in the picture for some reason. We're not done yet. I'm still painting pictures. You like the raccoon? Yeah. All right, go lay down. Puppy's sees me being really animated, thinks it's time to wrap things up, but it's not. Go lay down. Go. Yeah. So there's a couple of them that I thought were really nice, and so the way the in-person auction works, yeah, there's chilling out in the back. The way the in-person auction works is one of those that if you show up, you get one. Like the tickets are like $500, so it's crazy. Um, so for your $500, I guess you get like I don't know dinner or something, maybe like drinks or something, and then you also get like your bottle, and then you know. there's also a breakfast or something that you could attend. Oh, and there is an artist reception. I found that out. So like on the 11th, I can go and meet the other artists and stuff. And I think I might do that. I'll come and take some pictures and stuff like that. Because to probably to some of these other artists, they're like, this is just another gig. It's not a big deal. To me, this is fun. I feel like I'm, actually in the company of like real artists and stuff like that, and like I don't know, like peers, and I don't know. To me, it's just like wow, I can't believe that they actually accepted my art, for their little thing, and they paid me money for it. Like, well, I haven't gotten a check yet, but they're supposed to like send me like $100 per bottle, and I'm like, oh, that's cool, you know. So to me, it's a big deal. To other artists, it's probably just another job, but to me, it's like really cool. Yeah, Barry is adorable. Thank you, Larry. Davio says, highly caffeinated Java the Raccoon. This man must coffee paint. Yep. Like, you don't want to meet a caffeinated raccoon in person. I can tell you that for sure. Like, these guys are kind of nuts. Anyway, like, if you met one that was caffeinated, oh, you'd probably be like all over the place. Relentless Mindworks says Trash Panda. Absolutely. This is a Trash Panda. Absolutely. It's starting to look like a raccoon. Definitely a lot of dark areas in here I need to get in still, but good start. I'm gonna go ahead and add some. I want to add some of this, these little splotches and stuff up here early because I need to kind of outline that ear. Because that ear is like mostly white on the edges and stuff like that. So these darker areas and stuff would be like outlining it. These dogs are a lot more active than they usually are. I don't know what their problem is. Maybe they're into the caffeine too. I had a dog drink my coffee once. Like I had some coffee in my car, and I went into like a store or something like that. Had the windows rolled down, so it was totally fine. The dog was fine. But I come back out, and the dog had drank my coffee that I had in a little thermos, and I was like, "What?" That dog was wired. That dog was ridiculously wired. So caffeine does affect animals for sure. So if you had a raccoon that was on coffee, you would know it. So I want to get some of the splotches in there so that I can kind of like work some of this negative space around the ear. Same with this one over here. Like this should be pretty dark, but I need to let it dry so that I can get those areas really dark. Thanks, kid. I appreciate that. Well, you would be the expert on raccoons. I defer to your judgment. Except for that one raccoon that was like in my ear that one time. So, me and my friends had gone camping, and we were teenagers. So like I'm trying to think. I think we had a tent, but we weren't really using the tent. Um, because it was like three of us and like a couple of guys in a tent and stuff. That's kind of weird. So I think we didn't actually sleep in the tent. I think we slept out under the stars. And at the place where we went, there was a picnic table, and I remember I had like there was probably some drinking involved, but I think I was sleeping on the picnic table, and not the top of the picnic table. I think one of my friends was using that as like the top bunk. I was sleeping on one of the benches, and like in the middle of the night, I'm just like wake up and I hear this like sniffing, and it's like right in my ear, and it like scared the shit out of me. But there was a whole family of like raccoons and stuff that was like nearby, and one of them had to have like come in and just got curious or something like that and was like sniffing. Rome Dog is drawing tonight. Cool. Like, make sure you share with us what you ended up drawing. Either post it on your channel or like send it to me or something. I'd love to see it. But yeah, like so I'm not really scared of raccoons. It's just that that experience had me thinking that, like, I don't know, they're just kind of shifty little characters. They're adorable though. Like, look at this face. This face, I mean, kind of looks like Bear to be honest, but they're adorable animals. Like, there's a couple of different cute animals in nature, but none of them hold anything to a raccoon. Raccoons are some of the cutest. They just got these facial features that are just like, oh, oh, and they're so like they're just cute in everything they do. Have you ever seen one like actually eat? Um, they wash their food. Like if you give them like, I mean, you guys probably already know this, but I'm just gonna say it anyway for those who don't. They wash their food. So like, if you give them an apple, they'll go off and like in a stream or something, wash that apple. And there's a very funny video running around somewhere here on YouTube where somebody gives a raccoon cotton candy and they go to wash the cotton candy and it dissolves. It's hilarious. The poor raccoon's like, what happened? Like, I don't know why that's so funny. It's actually kind of mean, but I thought it was funny. Um, I think that nose is dry enough to where I can try to get some darker areas in there. Yeah, because like some parts of this are super dark, and I want to kind of get started on them early. Like the eyes, I think came out pretty good so far. Drawing buttered toast. Mmm. I had some buttered toast for breakfast this morning. It had honey bourbon on it, which is good. I don't know if I can send that to people. I should stock up on that stuff to send to people as gifts. Like when I send out a drawing, I should send out like some bourbon um, honey because like they sell it around here and it's really good. And I can't imagine they sell it elsewhere. I don't know what the rules are. Like I would love to like paint a bourbon bottle, for example, and send it to somebody. Like maybe as like a prize in a contest or something like that. I don't think I'm allowed to though. I don't think you can mail liquor. I think there's rules against that. Like I don't even know if like you can like let's say that this wasn't for LexArts. Like what are the rules behind just going to the liquor store, buying a bottle of bourbon, coming home and decorating and then selling the bottle of bourbon? I don't know if people can do that. Like there's all these kinds of rules and stuff regarding the sale of liquor. Um, I'd be kind of curious though because I would love to. Yeah, so like yeah, kid, it is really really good. Um, I would love to send that out as like gifts to people, but I don't know. I don't know how much actual liquor is in that bourbon. It tastes like bourbon. It tastes like bourbon and honey, but it's really good on toast. And I guess it'd probably be good on like I don't know, like pancakes maybe. Sounds that actually sounds pretty good. I could go for some pancakes right now. And you guys ever go to Waffle House? I went to Waffle House a couple of weeks back in the middle of the night just because I hadn't been to one in like a long time, and I was out with some family pretty late and stuff. We had come back from bar, and I'm like, I haven't been to Waffle House in forever, and so I went in there, and it's exactly what you would expect. I mean, it is where the good old people hang out and stuff. At least here in Kentucky, I don't know. It might be different in other places and stuff, but yeah, I went into the local one, and the food is great. The food is awesome because like all the food at a Waffle House is just kind of grilled on the same thing, so you like basically all the flavors like just meld together. So I got a burger, but the burger basically tasted like every waffle or pancake or whatever that else they cook on that thing. Like It just tasted like their entire menu. And as soon as I walked in, there was a table of guys that looked like they just come off of a farm. They were still wearing, their farm clothes and stuff, all covered in dirt. Either that or I don't know, they were out on a farm doing something. But I just love that. I love that kind of slice of America. Like you don't usually see that kind of stuff. And I know that like basically Waffle House is for, you know, like the unfortunate people and stuff, but I liked it. I really liked it. I like that kind of stuff where you see real people and real settings and everything. I love going to like diners for that reason. Um, like I would rather go to like a diner than a chain any day. Like some local diner. There's not as many as there used to be back in the day, but a local diner run by like a real cook who like just loves what he does. Maybe it's not the best food, but it's just like, the guy loves what he does. I look for that and things like that. I can't eat that much of that food anymore. Like as I get older and stuff, it makes me sick, all the grease and stuff like that. But I still like it. I still like looking for things like that. I haven't been to a Waffle House since basic training in Missouri in 2001. Yeah, nobody goes to Waffle House. Like if you ask basically anybody, any of your friends, of course they don't go to Waffle House. But there's a Waffle House on every corner, just like Starbucks. I don't know how these people stay in business. Oh, so yeah, so kid, I was gonna talk about that closer to the auction. So there have been some contributions to a pool on buying a bottle. And I'm not really 100% sure how we should do this, but there has been contributions. My dad is committed to throwing some money in there as well, and I think the way I'm going to do it is I think I might. Again, I haven't figured this out, so stay tuned, I guess, for like more info. But I was thinking like maybe because I don't want you guys to send me money to um, to bid on one of these bottles if it doesn't win, right? Like if it doesn't win, I don't want to have to like issue refunds and all of that biz. It's just like you know it just seems very stressful to me, right, to deal with that. So I think maybe what I might do is just like accept pledges, right? So like if you pledge a certain amount, I'll just assume you're good for it, and then we'll I guess make a bid or something. I don't know. I'm not 100% sure how this is going to work, but there have been people who have put money towards that, so it's a thing. It's going to happen. We're gonna bid on a bottle, and yeah, I just don't know the details. I don't know how that's going to work yet. This little raccoon's eye is looking pretty good, but the bottles. I don't know what they're going to go for, to be honest with you. I saw what ones went for during the last one, and they're pretty pricey, but maybe my bottle isn't going to be so pricey. I don't know. I'm anxious to see what the competition is. Like I want to see what everybody else submitted. There's a bunch of them on the Facebook page. So like if you guys go to the Lex Arts Facebook page, you can see some of the ones that have been submitted. And some of them look pretty good. I don't know how my stacks compare to those. I'm so self-conscious about it. Like it really doesn't matter. I've already submitted mine, and it's not like I can change it. When I turned it in, they were very happy with it. Like they were. It's hard to believe that it was just Friday. It seems like a month ago. But anyway, um, they were very impressed with it, and they were asking a bunch of questions about the coffee painting and all of that stuff, and that's kind of cool. So as a self-taught artist who like has no formal education in this stuff and kind of making it up as he goes, and like really only seriously like started coffee painting this year. That's awesome. Um, but it's one of those things where you feel like imposter syndrome. Like I can honestly say this. So like uh, it's different when you're just painting pictures for fun, right? But then when you go and you talk to other artists, like actual artists, people who do art for a living and stuff, or like work in art galleries, and like these are people who work in like an art organization for like Lexington, which is a pretty big town. It's not super huge. It's like your mid-range college town. It's where the UK basketball team is from and stuff. If you guys know them, and we're basically a college town. But anyway, there are a couple of 100,000 people. It's not a small town. But anyway, they handle like art for the entire town, and these guys know what they're doing. So if they have any kind of compliment on my artwork and stuff, that's a big deal to me. Like that goes right to my head. But it is a bit of a imposter syndrome where it's like I don't belong in this group. I don't belong. Um, And I'm not saying I don't belong. I'm just saying this is the thoughts that go through my head. These are the insecurities and stuff like that that people deal with, I guess, or I deal with. Um, but it seems Ernest is very competitive. My dad is super competitive. Like he promised to put some money in too, Larry, and not a lot. Like I think he was going to put in like maybe 25, $50, something like that. But he would probably bid on his own bottle. I kind of want to. I should put my email address in like the design somehow, so that whoever ends up with the bottles, because one of them is going to that private auction, right? So like you can't even bid on those. That's a ticketed event. Unless you pay $500 to get a ticket, you ain't getting that bottle for sure. You can't even bid on it if you wanted to. But I would like to know who got it. I would like that person to like reach out and like tell me what they think. That'd be kind of cool. Man, how do you make that happen? Like, I'm gonna have to ask him about that when I go down there for that little artist get together and stuff. You guys already like conspiring to like cut my dad out. That's awesome. He might be watching this tonight. I'm gonna have to talk to him later and see how he feels because he's probably enlisting. I don't know. Like he's got seven. No wait, he's got six siblings. He was one of seven kids. Um, he's of the age that one of them has passed away. So they're down to five now, but they're still kind of close. Um, they all live in South Carolina, my aunts and uncles. And, he just went down there to South Carolina the other day. Like, he just got back from there. And I bet you he went down there and he's like enlisting their help to like kind of influence those auction results. That's the kind of that's the kind of dirty dealings he would do. He's super competitive. Starting to look like a raccoon in the face. It's just these little details and stuff that are so fun to do. This stuff, and I think I figured out a little bit why I like coffee painting. Like because it's not like watercolor exactly. It's to me it feels like I'm inking when I like I was thinking of that scene in Nemo, like, oh, you made me ink. It feels like I'm inking when I'm doing these coffee paintings rather than painting. I feel like I'm somewhat drawing, somewhat painting, but it feels like I'm working in ink. Maybe because it's monotone or something like that. I've been comparing it to watercolor painting, uh, but truth be told, I feel like I'm working with a pen here, especially on these dark bits. So maybe like when I'm instructing people or I'm talking about my process, I should probably start referring to it as like it's like working with pen and ink because it really feels like that way. Like I feel like I could use a one of those quill pens to paint with, and it would probably be very similar. Like even the here I'll show you. But even the coffee I'm working with, you know, I add the water, but it's really this thick stuff around here that I try to go for, right? So like this stuff, I mean, you can see that it's kind of like become this syrupy thing. It's almost like ink, right? Especially when you're dealing with like the darker areas. So like, say I wanted to get some dark areas in here. That stuff's that's that syrupy stuff, you know. Versus, say I wanted a light area, I would come over here and I would grab, let's see, this liquidy stuff here, and you know, that's a lot lighter. So that this is more like watercolor, but when I'm dealing with this bit here, this syrupy stuff, this is more like ink, in my opinion. You know, I don't know, I don't really know, but like it feels like I'm painting with ink. Of course, I don't think I've done it like an actual painting in ink. I've drawn pictures in ink, but I haven't really painted with ink. Like how do you even clean your brushes and stuff when it's ink? I don't know. Like what kind of solvent do you use for that? I'm gonna have to look that up because I think it would be kind of cool to do like an ink painting. Like I don't want to become like a one note artist where I'm only working in like one medium or something like that. Like I don't know. People have been responding to the coffee paintings and stuff like that, so I've kind of developed a bit of a niche there, but I don't want to just do coffee paintings, you know. So I'm always thinking about other mediums that I might enjoy. I still want to get into like acrylic painting and like more gouache painting and stuff, but I don't know. I do feel like I need a lot more practice in that stuff. Because like sometimes this stuff comes out really good, and then other times it comes out terrible. So yeah, I have no idea what those bottles are going to go for. I think it's cool that you guys are pledging the amount. I do want to emphasize, yeah, you know, this it is for a charity. It goes to Lexmark. None of the proceeds or none of that money goes in my pocket. So if you guys are pledging large amounts, realize that like you're basically pledging to support the local arts here and stuff like that, which is a good cause. I just wanted you guys to be very clear on what you're supporting. Um, but yeah, I mean, I'm sure Lexmark would appreciate because like some of the bottles don't sell. Like there are, I noticed in the past auctions, some of them do not actually uh, find a home. So I am kind of curious what happens then. So like say for some reason people hate my bottles, right? Like what happens to the bottles then? I have no idea. Like do they just drink them? That'd be funny. They just have a party and just drink all the ones that didn't get sold. Like how do I get a ticket to that party? Because that's like the party for losers. That's where I feel like I would like I would like to go to that party. That party sounds like fun. And there are some bottles, like I don't want to name any names or anything like that, but there's some bottles that I saw in there that like were not all that great. So if I wouldn't tell the artist that, but there are some that I think aren't going to sell. Like they're kind of maybe the concept was good, but like the execution was poor. They just didn't turn out very well. I mean, I would never say that to the artist. Like that'd be all kinds of rude. But I do think that there are some that may not sell. So hopefully mine's not one of them. Java Jeremy. Java Owl. That would be cool. Like I really don't know what the owl ended up being named. I am super curious on that. The deer is definitely a dark horse deer because I saw them write that down because like I thought that was pretty good. In hindsight, I'm kind of curious, like, did I choose the right animals? Um, you guys ultimately voted on them, so but you voted on this three that I had submitted. I'm, you know, there's so many other pictures that were submitted that deal with horses and stuff like that, and I can do a decent horse. I'm kind of curious, like maybe I should have done a horse. I don't know. Relentless Spine works. The paper mache was another unique touch on top of the coffee painting aspect. I bet Maker's Mark Red Wax Seal complemented all really well too. Um, for my Civil War reenactments, I use a mixture of coffee and lamp suit to make ink that works pretty well with the quill and pen. Oh, you do Civil War reenactments. You would have a lot in common with my dad. My dad loves Civil War reenactments. So, um, yeah, that's you guys are right on the same page because like he loves doing Civil War reenactments. He's been doing Civil War reenactments since he was a kid. His uncle got him into it. His uncle probably no, he wasn't old enough to be in the Civil War himself, but he was pretty up there. He was trying to think. He was born in the 1930s. My uncle Herman, great uncle Herman, and he got my dad into doing Civil War reenactments. They There in South Carolina, they always did one in particular, the Battle of Aiken, South Carolina. Um, and then I don't know, he's participated in a couple other ones. Uh, Eventually, he ended up just doing like demonstrations and stuff at these Civil War reenactments. He never actually participated in the battles. He would just dress up as like I guess a sutler, you would call him, like just a gentleman, top, like some sort of suit or something like that, and he'd go out there and just basically talk about like Civil War topics. He's like super knowledgeable about that kind of stuff. I keep telling him like, man, the Civil War has been over for got to get over it. But I don't know. People from a different generation. But he's always been into it. Of course, he's in his 70s now, so but he's not originally from South Carolina, but he identifies with South Carolinians. He's originally from Homestead, Florida. That's where he was born. And my granny and I, my granny and my biological grandfather, I guess, moved from Florida to South Carolina. Either that or basically my granny remarried because like my biological great grandfather, wait, no, yeah, my biological grandfather, I guess, passed away. He was like in a car accident or something like that, and so she remarried. I don't remember if she moved from Florida before that or after that. I don't know. But anyway, most of my aunts and uncles they lived in Homestead, Florida, and they were always up to no good. I don't know if I should be telling these stories, but it was a different time back then. So like they grew up in the 50s and 60s, and my uncles apparently stole a boat, and they were going to go to Cuba. They were going to they were going to take the stolen boat to Cuba, and I don't know if the Coast Guard caught them or something like that. They were like teenagers or something. So like they didn't get in any major trouble for it, but um, yeah, they were gonna go all the way to Cuba in a stolen boat because they lived in Florida at the time. So that's the role models I had growing up. The men in this family, were always up to no good and getting in trouble and stuff like that. I've been reenacting for about 15 years now. We have a group in our club that do civilian living history alongside the military living history. Yeah, that's what my dad ended up doing. He started off, everybody enjoyed doing the the gunpowder and all that stuff, but then he started getting into the living history side of it. So he would go out on weekends and set up like a tent and stuff like that, and just basically, and just hang out with his Civil War buddies and kind of like instruct the audience and stuff whenever they showed up. And uh, when I was a kid, I used to go with them as well, and like they had like an artillery group that was awesome. I got to fire the cannons and stuff. I mean, it was all blanks and stuff, but like as a 14-year-old kid, I'm out there like shooting cannons and stuff. It was pretty cool. It was a different experience, but I can still hear, but it was a lot of fun. I still remember some of the drills, like you know, the proper process for loading a cannon so that you don't blow your hand off or whatever. Like the uh, the proper process is you have a charge, you put that down the tip of it, but you do it so that your hands are away. So the most anything that will get blown off is your thumbs. You put the charge in the end of the barrel, and then you do the ramrod down it. But again, you're holding it so that the only thing that's going to blow off if something goes bad is your thumb or something like that. Um, but before all that, you have to swab the inside of the cannon with water to clear out any kind of embers that might be in there, and then you have to use what's called a worm, which is a kind of a corkscrew on the end of a big stick, and you go in there and you kind of like twist it, and you pull out any kind of like debris or whatever that might be in there. And to be honest with you, like I am surprised that there aren't more accidents. I mean, it's kind of safe, but also it's not. Um, but yeah, like they really shouldn't be having teenagers and stuff out there doing that stuff. But it is what it is. But yeah, I got to play with that stuff when I was a teenager because my dad was really into it, and my mom was too. Like my mom was really into the whole tea parties and the socials, and I forget what they called the balls, like where they would go and do the dancing and stuff. The Virginia Reel, like I know all that stuff. Like I'm not into the Civil War myself, but I bet you I have enough like retained knowledge just from like osmosis of hanging around my folks that I could probably write a book set in the Civil War times, and it'd be accurate. Dog, dog, chill. Dog's digging a hole back here. Anyway, but yeah, like, but also they're from South Carolina, so it's a lot bigger down there than it is like in these parts. Like my dog's digging a hole over here on the floor. Um, like I don't know if there are some historical battles around here, like the Battle of Perryville. That was a big one. Hey, wait, go lay down. That one's Guinness, by the way. See, I love all the small history, family level stuff. Yeah, the small stuff. So they used to they had a pretty big library, so they collected a lot of just like historical artifacts and stuff like that. They had a traveling museum with all this stuff in it. But as far as the small stories and stuff like that, which I always think is cool. They used to read a lot of the personal journals of people who lived back then, and that kind of stuff fascinates me. Even so, I'm not like a big history buff on the Civil War and everything, but even that, I mean, even my limited like interest in it, I appreciate history like that. Where it's just the day to day life of people who lived back then. It's pretty fascinating. 14 is the youngest we allowed to carry. I'm trying to remember, did I ever? Um, I think 14 is probably the youngest I was when I carried a rifle. and played with the cannon and stuff like that. But I think there were younger people in our group. Um, like my younger brother, he also participated, and he was I don't know, if I was 13, he would have been like 10 or 11. So I don't know. This was a while back. I'm sure things have gotten better nowadays than they were back then. Like back then, there were no rules. But I remember being dressed in a Civil War outfit and having like a little pistol, a Colt Navy revolver. I still remember what kind of pistol. Um, and I wasn't even thinking I'd walk into like a gas station, just carrying the pistol with me. Like to me, it was just like cosplay. Like, but even like back then, there wasn't a concept of cosplay, but it was just like historical cosplay. But no, it was a real gun. I mean, you can like actually those like musket, those Colt Navy revolver. It was a replica, but you could load it with a real charge. Same with the rifles. My dad still has a nice collection of Civil War. They're all replicas. I think he has one original that he had bought at some point, but most of them are replicas. Um, but the Enfield rifles, the three bander Enfield rifles, and then he had uh, a two bander. I don't know if it's the proper term for it, but a Zouave rifle. I don't know if that's like the proper term for it, but it's what the Zouave soldiers would carry, which I think they were like French soldiers. I don't remember, but yeah. So he's got a big collection of that, and he still has like a large collection of like Civil War swords and stuff. Like I actually have those in my possession, Civil War swords. Pretty decent collection of those. Um, they're kind of cool. Me and my brothers used to fight each other with them, like actual sword fights and stuff, which probably should not do, but that's what we did. We would like sword fight with that. Like kids nowadays they probably run around with fake lightsabers. But no, we were using real swords from the Civil War. I'm surprised we lived long as we did. Like I don't know how we survived. Um, oh, okay, yeah, yeah, that's right. I'm sorry. You're friends with Rome Dog. Oh, that's cool. So Rome Dog probably gets into that Civil War reenacting too. That's cool. Hey, because I can. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Small world. I haven't done any like participating in Civil War reenacting and like I don't know, like probably since I was a teenager. Um, my dad's still big into the history side of it. Like if there was a way to put him in a museum, not put him in a museum, but like, you know, if he had like a part-time job as a museum, expert or guide or whatever, that would probably be ideal for him. That would be cool. I need to find something like that to get him out of the house because he's retired. He's always looking for things to fill his days. That's why he did the whole bottle challenge, just because he's retired and he's like, what else am I gonna do? But I don't know. You know, he kind of inspires me, like as all fathers should. Uh, I look at him as an inspiration of like, when I reach that age, I want to be as active as him. And his parents, like my granny, she passed away when she was in her 80s. But she was an active lady. Like she was always busy doing something. So there's a bit of a legacy there that I have to live up to. I can't, when I'm 70, 80 years old, I can't just be like laying on the couch playing Xbox because like my family tries to stay active as long as they can. Like eventually, you just wear down. But so your first two reenactments last year, I'm kind of curious what reenactments are like nowadays. I'm sure they're a lot safer than like when I was a kid. When I was a kid participating in reenactments, they were probably not the safest things. I was just talking with my siblings the other day about how you should not grow up in a household as a teenager where there's black powder rifle and stuff, black powder just like, hanging around the house. Like we used to, we used to like make all kinds of explosions and stuff that we should not have been doing. I should probably like. There are some kids who watch this show. I should probably watch what I say because I don't want to inspire them to do. So about the art, let's just stick on the art topic. So about the art stuff, I mean, got some cool coffee paintings going on here. I like how this raccoon's turning out. He's pretty cool. Need to get some darker areas underneath this chin. Yeah, it is an expensive hobby. You gotta get all your clothes, you gotta get your equipment and stuff like that. But you know, um, the cool side of it is like the history and stuff is kind of cool. But also, what I liked about it is it's an excuse to go camping. Which I've always been into, regardless. It's a you're out there portraying how people lived back then, and they were intense, and out there living in the soil. Of course, as an adult, I just think of like, man, that's like legal liability of like, what if somebody gets hurt or something like that? But the kid, I didn't think about any of that stuff. All I thought was, ooh, big cannon goes boom. That's cool. Those cannons are pretty impressive too. Like, I don't know what it costs to buy a cannon or whatever, but someone in our group had a cannon that they would drag out to all these reenactments. And those cannons, like, even though they're replicas and stuff, I mean, you could still load a real cannonball in it and shoot that thing like 5 miles pretty accurately too. They would go out on some property out in the boonies and stuff like that and do like you know not during reenactments and stuff, but just like on the side. They would shoot like real cannonballs and stuff like that, and that stuff was pretty impressive. I think my dad still has like a little mortar, which is like a little personal cannon, I guess. I don't know how to describe it. It's just like a little small cannon, as people do. People have little small cannons, of course. I think he still has one of that somewhere. But that thing's got he shot that on his own property. He had like 40 acres out in the woods and stuff like that. And that thing will shoot a little cannonball for quite some distance. So I gotta get whiskers in here somehow, but I think I have to wait until all of this is done and then come back and kind of like erase in order to get those whiskers in. Sorry, just talking about the art real quick. How are we doing on time? I sometimes lose track of times when I get into conversation. Where's bombs and mailboxes? You guys. Don't get my channel flagged for anything. We don't need to be talking about like bombs and mailboxes. No, this is just an art show, guys. Just an art show. This guy, I mean, he already looks adorable. So there are some areas that need to be darker. Um, and I think I do want to try to get some more splatter effects in, especially like on this side. Not just like splatter so much, but also just like kind of get some, sorry, like a little piece of fur there. Want to get some body in there so that that there is like more raccoon involved. That looks cool. So I think I'm gonna leave that. I'm not gonna bother with the gravity. There are some areas that need to be cleaned up. Like I don't like this little one here. So the tip is you can splatter as much as you want, and you may be worried about, oh, what if I make a mistake? So as long as it's still wet, you can come in here and kind of mop up some of these areas. So like that one I didn't like. Let's just pick a random one. So even though I don't mind this one, say I wanted to get rid of this little splotch here, I can come in with the dry brush and just kind of mop that up, right? And then, you come over here and you like wipe it. Well, you should probably use a paper towel. I don't mind getting dirty, but a paper towel is fine too. But you just come in here and you just kind of mop that up. As you can see, if you mop it up so much, it even kind of like erases some area. But so that's how you can kind of control some of this stuff. So it's chaotic, but also it's a little bit of ordered chaos. So it's not as chaotic as you may imagine. So I'm kind of curious, like it sounds like you're how to politely say of a certain age. You are probably at least as old as I am. Um, I'm kind of curious, like how are young people still into like civil war reenactment, or is it kind of like going the way of you know, is it something that kids still do? Because like I think of kids nowadays as like they're on their video games all the time and stuff like. Well, I mean, Rome Dog's pretty young. If he's into it, that's cool. But I think of like kids nowadays being like on video games and stuff like that. Like I don't even see a lot of kids going camping these days, which is kind of a little upsetting. Um, I grew up in the Boy Scouts, and we did like a lot of activities, and uh, like they've gotten a bad rep, and some of that they've earned, like some of the stories and stuff that came out of that that whole Boy Scout drama. Um, they probably earned some of their criticism and stuff, but I also like I think back to my days in the Boy Scouts, and I had a lot of good times. I think that it was instrumental in me growing up to be like a decent person. Some of the influences and stuff that I picked up um, in Boy Scouts, like learning to camp and learning to like survival skills, uh, how to start a fire, things like that. These are things that I think are super important. And I got all that through the Boy Scouts, and it kind of pains me nowadays, um, or not nowadays, but it pains me to think that kids aren't growing up with these type of opportunities. Okay, you're 44. Oh, I thought you were younger than that, Rome. I'm sorry. That's cool. Yeah. Anyway, so like so much of my influential years were influenced by Boy Scouts. I mean, we used to go camping, we used to go cave exploring, we used to do all that stuff. That it's strange to me that kids grow up nowadays not having that sort of like experience. Now, as far as I know, the Boy Scouts is still thriving. Like I went to when I was looking for Forrest Fenn's treasure out there in the Rocky Mountains. Um, I went by Philmont Scout Ranch, and it seemed pretty active. So like maybe it's still thriving. I don't know, but it seems like Boy Scouts is like when I talk to people, like nobody talks about like, oh yeah, my kids got a Boy Scout camping trip this weekend. Like I never hear that from any of my contemporaries, I guess, friends that have kids. Um, like I don't know, like church groups. Kids used to go camping with church groups and stuff like that. I never hear about that either. I don't know how kids get exposed to that kind of stuff that I think it's essential, you know. I just don't know how that happens nowadays. Because, like, I mean, there's a reason why I enjoy, bring it back to the art. There's a reason why I enjoy doing, wildlife pictures. A lot of the stuff I was exposed to, like out there camping and stuff like that. Like, I've seen raccoons in the wild, you know. There are people who probably live in like inner cities and stuff that have never seen a raccoon, um, unless they went to like a nature preserve or something like that. But even going to a nature preserve, like most people, Why would you ever go to a nature preserve unless you're going with some sort of group or something like that? I just wonder, like, how do people get these kind of experiences that I consider formative, you know? Boy Scouts nowadays is Minecraft, I believe it, yeah. But no, I think it's important, like I joked about how every young man, or just every man in general, uh, should know certain essential skills, right? One of them is how to start a fire, how to change a tire, how to pitch a tent, how to like find your way back to civilization if you're ever lost in the woods, because these things can happen, I don't know where people pick up those skills now. I guess maybe like they join the military, kids still do that. I mean, you're going to get all the same stuff in basic training, I guess, if you went that route. But as a civilian, I don't know how you pick up those skills, because there are certain things that you know, not to get too like gender specific about it, but there are certain things that you're kind of like responsible to do as a young man or something like that, right? And I'm not saying that like you have to do these things and stuff. I mean, you can carve out your own path and stuff like that. But I think there are some things that you should be able to do as a guy. Um, they're kind of important. Like maybe that's not like how you live your life or whatever, and that's totally fine. That's your business and everything. I just think that like I don't know if you know how to start a fire, that's not a bad thing. If you know how to, you know, if you can teach somebody to find food in the forest and stuff, if you ever need to, that's not a bad thing. You know, like you never know, you might be homeless someday. Anything can happen. Well, basic survival skills and stuff. I don't know. These are things that were important to me growing up. I just kind of wonder like what people do nowadays for that kind of stuff. I don't know. Maybe it is all Minecraft. I don't know. Maybe people don't go camping. They just play Minecraft. Um, I art appreciation. Where do you get that nowadays? Do they teach that in school? I have no idea. I got my art appreciation from watching other artists. I guess that's probably still a thing through YouTube. Um, I know my nieces and nephews when I tried to take them to like an art gallery and stuff like that, they're just not into it, or art museum. But that might just be them. There's probably kids out there that do appreciate that kind of stuff. But some of that stuff, probably the kids are still bored by it. Like you see, you go to like an art museum. It's not just painting. It's not just cool paintings. It's also like old furniture and old like china, like dishes and things like that people used back in the day, because that's art as well. And some of that stuff's just not as sexy. It's like I don't know. It's hard to get into that kind of stuff. I enjoy paintings whenever I get to the art museum. I get bored by some of the cultural artifacts, like I don't know, like old furniture or something like that. Like I can see other people being into that. It's just not my thing. And then some of the paintings and stuff, depending on the time period and stuff, like some of them are just not that interesting to me. If I went to like a art museum right now, I guarantee you I would enjoy anything from the Impressionists up to modern day. So, like, if I went into like the modern art area, I would find something that I found interesting in there, um, something thought provoking, something that like captured my imagination. Uh, if I went into anything painted from the 1800s onwards, I would be like, wow, there is some like really good technical work involved in this, I would appreciate that kind of stuff. That kind of stuff I get lost in the painting. If there's anything that's super old, right? So like I'm talking about like, like 500 years old or something like that, like Renaissance art, I get fascinated by that kind of stuff. The technical side of anything impressionistic on Ford, that kind of stuff I'm interested in because that's the stuff I want to duplicate. That's the stuff I want to be able to create myself. But when I look at things like I don't know, like Rembrandt or something like that, I get lost in that kind of stuff because that stuff is like so like Rembrandt's capturing of light in particular, I am so fascinated by. And then like just how old that stuff is. I can just stare at that stuff forever. And that stuff it just really impresses me. I'm trying to think some of the stuff that I find boring is I don't know. Like stuff that's too realistic from I'm thinking like the George Washington painting, right? Like that stuff is like meant to be a photo kind of thing back in the day. I'm not too impressed with that kind of stuff. That stuff doesn't do it for me. Yeah, Mark Kisler and Bob Ross. Yeah, good call. In high school, we had metal shop and wood shop for art. Oh, cool! Like sculptural type stuff. That's neat. Um, I don't think I ever took wood shop. I took drafting. I didn't take wood shop. I was in a vocational program for graphic arts when I was in high school. That was mostly because they like let you like in your junior and senior year they let you go to work. Like they let you leave at like 10 like 12 like noon ish and go to like an actual job where you got paid and stuff. I love that. So like I signed up for that. Um, I wasn't I wasn't smart enough for the college prep courses. I don't know. Maybe I could have pulled that off, but I didn't. I just wasn't dedicated. Like I had friends that were on that college prep course, and they had all their stuff together. I struggled as a teenager, just trying to figure out who I was and things like that. I probably still struggle with that type of stuff. This guy's looking cute. I like it. I like that this is pulling over here. I kind of want to get more of that going, but I don't want to overdo it. So how do I approach this? I kind of want this to be a little bit lighter. So let me just get a little bit. Oops, that's a bit much. Get a little bit of this going down here, but I think I'm going to like spread that around so that's not like. Let me start by cleaning up some of my mess. All right, and then I kind of want to. I always do this on this board. You guys may not have noticed, but well, I guess you had when I did the whole gravity bit. This board is um, a lifesaver when it comes to these things because like I don't have to do it on my actual desk. I can kind of move some of this stuff around. That makes sense. I don't know. I kind of like this. I'll leave this here. Well, kind of. I'll leave this little white area here. I can work with that. Like once this dries, I'll add more to it, and just trying to get some of the body in there so that it's not all like just this guy. This guy went kind of nuts. Kind of clean that up a little bit. I guess I can leave that. All right, moving along. How are we doing on time? Oh, we're still good. I think I've gotten more efficient at doing some of these pictures as well. So if you guys are into like Civil War reenactments and stuff like that, you guys must be like down south. I don't know too many places up north that have Civil War reenactments. I know they have them around here. There was a couple of battles in Kentucky, but you had Morgan's Raiders and things like that coming through Kentucky. We were kind of a border state, I think. Oh yeah, so you took graphic arts, but it was photo and screen printing stuff. So when I took graphic arts, it was a time when they still had printing presses. So I don't know what printing presses are like nowadays, but I imagine they're all like computerized. Like it's basically a gigantic computer printer. Um, I don't really know that to be true, but when I took graphic arts, it was all offset or offset printing. And what happens there is you would make a plate, and there was a photographic process to that. So like these plates come like in metal sheets, and they had some sort of a emulsion on them. I think that's the right term. And you would burn your image into the emulsion, and then you would clear away everything that wasn't burned. And that was your printing press, or that was your printing plate. And that would go on a machine, and from there, it's a matter of like oil and water doesn't mix. So your ink is made of oil, and you'd have some water keeping the oil from seeping into other parts of the plate that it shouldn't be. And that was the sum total of it. And then you would run paper through it. But that was when I went to school. I don't know. I imagine it's a lot different now just because of technology. But it was all offset printing back then. And I don't know why I took that. I think I had a couple of options for like vocational classes. And to me, that was like, okay, well, maybe that'll be interesting to me. Uh, it was okay. I enjoyed it because I enjoyed like just I mean, there's a little bit of creativity involved in it. Um, it doesn't have to be like graphic arts covered so many different things back then. So like you could be an actual graphic artist or you can be a printing press operator. Well, one probably involves creativity and one of them's just more like, you're just pushing buttons and running the machine. Um, I like that aspect of it. When I got into it, they had just started with the silk screening. Oh, that yeah. Uh, Definitely not silk screening on our end. It was printing presses and so on. Um, but when I got into it, it was just at the advent of desktop publishing. So like that's when they just started with the computers and stuff like that. So eventually I got into that, which is why I do building websites and things like that nowadays. Uh, but of course, there's none of that stuff that I do now was learned in school. I basically taught myself programming. Um, I taught myself to build websites, and then I realized, well, the website should do something. So then I taught myself programming, and I don't know. I've just been doing it for. I should really start a channel talking about programming because I've been doing that much longer than I've done art. But uh, yeah, I've been like basically building websites and programming since 1999 ish. So, and then from programming websites, I moved into like programming other things like desktop applications and web applications that aren't website driven, um, mobile apps. I haven't done a lot of mobile apps, but I've done a few like really small stuff. Like there's not much to them. No like great functionality or anything. Never built anything that like was huge like Facebook or anything like that, which kind of sucks. I'm probably like the worst programmer when it comes to like making money off of their stuff. Like I don't know. I'm just not very good at that kind of thing. But it's fun. I enjoy it. I enjoy building things. But there's not like a ton of creativity to the kind of stuff that I do, which is why I do the art instead. to get my creativity fix, you know. But self screening, that is fun, you know. I I wouldn't mind doing some silk screening here on this channel. That'd be a lot of fun. So as you can see here, like even though some of this stuff was already done, I'm going back over it just to kind of darken up some areas and stuff. For raccoons, you really want that whole face mask, you know. That's the whole thing about raccoons. And there's parts of it that are super dark. I need to make sure that not all of it's dark, because I need to leave in some space for whiskers, and I haven't figured out exactly how I'm going to do that yet. But some aspects of this are super dark. So you can only achieve that really by letting it dry and building up things. But again, that's kind of why I feel like it's ink instead of like paint. The whole process of silk screening is a little bit like printing presses anyway, because like you do the different colors in different processes. That's one of the interesting things I thought about, like with printing. Like basically, there are four colors that make up any color that you can possibly imagine when it comes to printing. You have cyan, magenta, yellow, and black, and those make up every single color that you ever see printed. Darker areas up in here. I switched to a bigger brush because I wanted to get all of this stuff in here, like bigger brush sizes. This guy needs a name. Rocky the Raccoon or Rocket. I guess Rocket's too. He kind of looks like Rocket from Guardians of the Galaxy. Did you guys see Guardians of the Galaxy 3? Oh, that is such a good movie. I know not all of my viewers are into Marvel stuff, but I'm always going to talk about Marvel stuff because I'm into it. Guardians of the Galaxy 3 was such a good movie. And it was like heavily focused on Rocket, the raccoon guy from it. And if you guys are into Marvel stuff, I can recommend. They brought back the X-Men animated cartoon from like the '90s, like stuff that I grew up with as a kid, watching X-Men animation. They brought that back, and I gotta say, man, that is so good. It is so good. They did a great job. And the reason why I say it's a great job is because like a lot of this nostalgia baiting that goes on, you know, where they bring back things that like I don't know, people are familiar with from their childhood and stuff like that. They bring it back in a way where it's just like lame and it's just not good. This is actually one of the few exceptions where they brought it back in a great way because what they did was they stayed true to the original animation, the original show. So it's a perfect homage to that. But then also they innovated. So they made some changes to it that are good to kind of like bring it into the modern era, like some of the animation and stuff like that, some of the action scenes and stuff like that. Those are totally modernized. Some of the storylines and stuff like that seem to be more for contemporary times. It's just a good example of how you can take something that people will watch out of nostalgia, but also bring it into like the modern times and make it its own show. And for that, I want to say that they really nailed it. They did a great job. So like if you ever watched X-Men as a kid or something like that, give the X-Men 97 a shot. It's a really good show. I mean, it's still probably made for kids and stuff, but like I enjoy it. It's good. The ceramic box I made in pottery, but I don't have the large vase I made for my mom. I need to ask my sister about that. I'm trying to think. The only thing I ever really sculpted as a kid was probably like an ashtray. Because again, it says Thundercats. Oh, I love that show. I would love for them to bring back Thundercats. Um, I would like to see them bring back Thundercats, and then for me, I really enjoyed the GI Joe cartoons, and I know that they've tried to make GI Joe movies that didn't really do all that well and stuff like that. But I think they should bring back the GI Joe cartoon, um, but modernized. They did that one time. I don't even remember the name of it, but there was a limited series. Like I want to say there were only like a couple of episodes of like this more modern GI Joe thing where like I don't know, like some of the Joes actually died and things like that, and it was like there was this ninja tale to it. I'd like to see more of that. That would be cool. But Thundercats, yeah, definitely. Snarf. Snarf. Yeah, Kevin knows the Thundercats. Snarf, snarf, snarf. I mean, for that matter, bring back the Smurfs. They need to bring back. So, all right, there's a couple of things they need to do. All right, well, somebody needs to be taking notes because they need to do this. They need to bring back Smurfs and modernize it to modern audiences. I don't know what that looks like. I don't know what they're going to do there, but they really need to. Really need to think about it, and they really need to like take it seriously, not just like, oh, okay, we're going to have like Smurfs in the modern times where I I don't know. I Somebody smarter than me needs to work this out. But they need to modernize the Smurfs, bring that back. Thundercats definitely. GI Joe, Lady J, Flint and Lady J. Oh yeah, absolutely. But for me, it was Snake Eyes and Storm Shadow. Those were my dudes. Like the whole ninjas of GI Joe. Anyway, they need to bring all that stuff back. Bring back all that stuff. But modernize it, like do like they're doing with X Men '97. X Men '97, I'm telling you, is so good because they brought it back. They started X Men '97 on the like where the regular X Men animated show ended in 1997. So it's like no time had passed. They picked up right where they left it off, but also they did bring it into modern times. So like I mean it's still set in the 90s, but it's the animation um is clean and modern. The action scenes are clean and modern. I think the plots are clean and modern. It's just so good, and they need to do that with all these other properties. That's my point. They need the X Men '97 GI Joe. That's what they need to do, and Thundercats and Smurfs and all that stuff I grew up with. I do worry about that though. Like that whole nostalgia stuff. I'm like, so much of modern media and stuff is based on things that I grew up with that I worry about the kids of nowadays. Like, what are they growing up with? Like, I guess they still have their Pokemon and, geez, Pokemon's probably old too. I guess they still have their modern or like whatever they're into. I just worry that like my generation is stunting the younger generation. Like kids nowadays should be able to like have their own like cultural influences and so on without having to like worry about GI Joe, you know. Like I've got a grandnephew who is like I guess 3 years old. He should not need to know who GI Joe is. He should have his own thing. I like this raccoon. What do you guys think so far? Oh yeah, Beetlejuice is coming back. Yeah, it's gonna be awesome. It's gonna be great. Has anybody seen the new Ghostbusters? I've heard mixed things about it. Um, I've heard that audiences generally like it, but also that like critics think it's you know, kind of like why or like what's the point of this? Uh, but I've always liked Ghostbusters, so I'll probably go and see it. I don't know if I'm gonna go and see it in theaters. I might wait until that comes out on streaming or something like that. I mean, that's a big question nowadays, right? Oh, that's neat. what I just did there by accident. The big question nowadays is like, should I go and see it in theaters or should I wait until it comes out on streaming? What a weird world. I like I that was accidental, but I like how I pulled that in there. I just love how you can redirect. I guess it's the same in watercolor, but oh, you guys think it looks good? Thank you. I forgot I asked. Cool. Yeah, I kind of like this guy. It's probably trying to think what I kind of want some splotches over here that kind of drip down, but I need to let everything else dry. So after everything else dries, I think I'm gonna put a splotch here and then let it drip down to kind of like fill in this area over here. So you guys don't usually see everything that goes into these things. So like you guys see the initial painting, but once all this dries, I come back and I add like touch up areas and stuff like that. Some of those some of that texture that looks really good. I add the coffee circles and stuff like that, which I think is kind of like a signature to these coffee paintings. I love raccoons. They're so adorably cute. My daughter watches all the episodes of Sesame Street from the. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I guess what I'm kind of think like I don't think there's any downside to watching like old episodes of like Sesame Street. Probably a lot of that stuff's still relevant. You know, your A, B's, and C's are still going to be A, B's, and C's. It doesn't matter like how many years have passed. Some of the characters and stuff from the old Sesame Street, they hold up. You know, that's probably one of the things that they don't need to like mess with. They don't need to modernize Sesame Street. But then again, Sesame Street always did a good job of kind of like staying contemporary, at least as far back as I remember. It's a cute nose. He's so adorable. This guy. Lady J was more interesting than Scarlet. I agree with that. Oh, speaking of Scarlet type characters, so like I don't know. Like I really like the X-Men series, but I realize that most of you guys probably don't know what I'm talking about. But I'm still going to talk about these things anyway. Um, the equivalent of Lady J on X-Men would probably be Rogue. And what's cool about Rogue is they got the original actress. So like I don't know how old she is. She's probably older. Like she's probably too old to play Rogue now, but anyway, she's still playing Rogue. So they went and got the old actors and actresses from the original series back in the 90s to play these characters nowadays. So I think that's kind of cool. That's a cool aspect of that X-Men 97. So like when you listen to Rogue talk in the new series, she sounds just like she did from 97, but a little bit older, you know. Like you can definitely tell, you can hear the age difference, but it's still kind of cool, you know. Hey, Mommy Q, how's it going? Yep, doing Trash Panda tonight. Oh, okay. Larry's been talking about his funny story all night, so like I want to hear this funny story, Larry. Yeah, Beetlejuice is going to be a great one. That's one I'm looking forward to. All right, so I think yeah, I need to let some of this stuff dry before I go messing with other things. I think what all I can do while we're still here. What are we doing on time? We got about 15 minutes left. What can I do in the 15 minutes while some of this is drying? How am I going to do the whiskers? Let me see what happens if I try to erase. Yeah, I kind of want to hear this funny story now. Last night, no stream going on, so a food channel I watched went live. Okay, I can do whiskers, I think. I think what I need to do is kind of put in some dark values and then kind of come in. And then I can always come back over with like a white gel pen later. I, I do want to kind of circle going over here. Get one of those started. I usually throw in a couple of those. Trying to think where else I might want one. I think I'm just going to leave that one for now and then come back and think about other ones later. Because I do think I still want some kind of drippage going on there. Let me put this off to the side. Angelica went live doing enchiladas and people were saying hello from different places. Oh man, enchiladas sounds great. Mama Q is leaning on a heating pad and working on a photo project. Yeah, photo project, huh? That sounds creative and artistic. When I first started this channel, I thought I would do all kinds of different art stuff, not just painting and drawing and stuff. I mean, that's what I ended up doing, but um, I also thought that I could do like, I don't know, just crafty projects and stuff and anything artistic. I didn't want to like limit myself. Now, in hindsight, I kind of have. um, I ended up doing like mostly fine art. Yes, you could call it. But I think it'd still be kind of cool if I came in here and like did some sculpting or things like that. Get some little fur stuff going on the outside. The person chatted from Tularis, California, so I had to comment. How long does it take to dry before you go back and touch up? That's a great question, Relentless Mineworks. So it really depends on what part. So I, uh, I'm basically doing kind of a glazing here. So I come in and I add some areas. This, for example, is mostly dry, right? This stuff up here that I've been slowly adding to, it looks wet, and some of it maybe is, but for the most part, it's dry because it's been very thin layers. The parts that take a while to dry are the parts that I maybe like leave for, I don't know, an hour or so at least, is these areas where things have kind of pulled up. So it's hard to tell the difference between this area here and this area here, but I can see the difference. So this area here is where I've been lightly glazing to get a darker area over time. This is where it's just straight up dropped a bunch of coffee and it's just been sitting here pulled up. And that you kind of have to let it naturally dry. So I usually let that dry overnight. It doesn't really take overnight. Like this will probably, I don't know, within a half hour to an hour, this will probably like resolve itself. And what I mean by resolve itself is it may or may not dry like this. I don't know. Like this area here, it dries and then it kind of like gets these like little cool edges here that I think are neat. This right here will probably dry pretty much as is. I hope this dries where this like area is dark. So it really depends. different parts are going to dry in different like lengths of time. These areas that I'm just like lightly adding a little bit of stuff, that dries almost immediately. Like I'm adding like little whiskers out here. So these parts where I just like added a little bit of that's already dry. Like I that's dry to the touch. But that's a great question. Um, Oftentimes I will do something and then I'll let it dry just enough to where I can come back and kind of glaze over it. It's really these areas that have pooled water. Those are parts that, because like if I went and tried to paint over this, all it's going to do is blot. It's not gonna give me that fine line that I'm trying for in some of these other areas. Um, a lot of the detail, like the fine detail and stuff, comes from like dabbing. So there's a couple of different ways that I can apply some coffee. So I can come in and I can try to like actually paint, right, where I draw a line, okay? And that worked out pretty well, but it doesn't always work out that well. And then other times, if I really want a lot more control, I'll come in and I'll just like kind of dab it a little bit. And then you'll get, if you can kind of see this line here, this is like a pool of coffee, right? So I try to like direct that. I try to pull that out. And if I can't pull it out, and then I'll also just like kind of dab a little bit and stuff like that. That's how you get kind of get your finer details. And then when you're dealing with something like really dark, like say these eyes, I want these eyes to be really dark. Um, that basically has to be like dabbing because you want that stuff to pull and create this like really dark areas. And by kind of like almost stippling, um, like you don't want to like smear this out. It's not gonna like it's not gonna be as dark as you want it to be. You kind of just want to dab at it a little bit and let it pull. And that's how you get your dark areas. And I think I've kind of like developed a good system for that because I've seen other people who do coffee paintings and they don't get these kind of dark values that I'm able to get. And I think it's because they don't realize that like it really helps to like let it dry and just kind of like almost like so there used to be a way of doing tattoos where people basically any kind of, even tattoos now they're just doing it really rapidly. But if you see how some of the Polynesian native tattoos are done. They have a stick and they're just kind of like going like this. That's kind of what you're doing here. So you're kind of like it's almost like tattooing. Now that I think about it, I don't know why I never thought of it that way before. But you're kind of tattooing the ink of the coffee into this drawing. Now I call it a painting and stuff like that. Most people would, but it's really kind of like tattooing a drawing by constantly dabbing at it. And that's only for the dark areas. Like you can like obviously this stuff right here, you're not doing that kind of like painstaking detail. You're just like dropping paint or you're dropping coffee on the paper and just letting it do whatever it wants to do. Which I think is cool, like that's how you get your whole like metaphor of oh, I just spilled coffee on my paper and it ended up looking like a raccoon. But for for some of these darker details and stuff like that, it is that you're kind of stippling it. I may not be using the right term there. I think it's stipple, but you're poking it. Like, he's got an expression now, I think. Got that look about him. Yeah, I like this raccoon. This raccoon's a winner. I like him. Yeah, stipple. Okay, thanks, Ramda. Let's go buy that tattoo gun, right, Kevin? Man, we should invest in a tattoo gun. Like, I'm sure between the two of us, we can figure out how to tattoo things, and we'll just like tattoo everything. Kevin's got some cool tattoos, as any former Navy man should. Honestly, like if you were in the Navy and you don't have a tattoo, you missed your turn. You really should have one. Thanks, MJ. Yeah. So we're coming up on the 2 hour mark, so I'll probably wrap this up soon, but I do have I don't know, a little bit of time. I'll continue working on it, but I know it's hard for me to decide when this is done, right? Because like it does kind of look a little bit done now, but there are some extras that I want to add to it. And that's one of those things where I just look at it in the morning, I kind of evaluate it like what parts need some help. Like I'm looking at this and I'm like, well, this ear up here, it probably could use like a few little bits. Like this ear doesn't have to be perfect. This it can be abstract, but I do kind of want to define it a little bit more, kind of like this area over here. Raccoons have these like um, kind of roundish, fuzzy ears that I like. Like honestly, this could look like my dog if it wasn't for these ears. My dog's got the floppy ears. Two locations, both in Tulare. I only have one tattoo, and Rum Dog did it. Oh, that's cool. I'd be a little nervous doing tattoos, to be honest with you. It's not so much the art, but like it's so permanent, right? Like, I don't know. Um, Sometimes when I clip my dog's toenails, I get a little too close and I accidentally clip it and like they bleed a little bit. And I know all that's normal and stuff, and I shouldn't stress it too much, but man, I feel so bad, right? So if I feel bad about that, I don't know. I don't know how I'd feel about like tattooing somebody, like actually like basically shoving ink into the person's blood system. Hey, Creative Boredom, how's it going? Yeah, it's a little trash panda. Jay says tattoos are attractive. Neat. I think tattoos are fun. Tattoos are a great way. Like I don't know. That's something that's changed in my lifetime as well. Like since I was a teenager, like tattoos have become like really mainstream. Like anybody can have a tattoo. Like I've had coworkers with full on sleeves and stuff. You couldn't do that back in the day. The only thing that I think is kind of weird still is the people who have like facial tattoos and stuff. But probably even with facial tattoos, you can maybe get a job somewhere. Um, the whole culture around tattoos has changed a lot over the last 2 decades or whatever, maybe 3 decades. I don't know. Jeremy, are you drawing from memory? No, I've got a picture of a raccoon. Um, yeah, like I don't know. There's some things I can draw from memory. Probably a raccoon is not one of them. I kind of get the idea of what a raccoon looks like, but it's nice to have reference art or reference photos and stuff to look at. Um, I like to paint or draw what I see. Um, so um, reference pictures. Like I would love to have a raccoon just sitting across from me to draw or paint. That'd be cool. But short of that, I don't know. There are some things I can draw from memory, like that dragon I did the other day. That's pretty much from memory. Dragons dragons look a certain way in my mind, and I've done enough of those that whenever I was a kid and stuff like that, that I can completely create a dragon from memory. I could probably do a dog from memory, like just a fun little dog. I can do anything if I simplify it, right? So like if you just wanted me to draw a I don't know, like a cat from memory, I could do that if I kind of cartoonized it a little bit and simplified some of the shapes and stuff. Would sprinkling salt over a wet spot create a starring effect? All of the different techniques that you use with watercolor probably would still work with coffee painting. So yeah, people do use salt um, in their watercolor pictures to create like different textures and stuff like that. That would probably still work. So like if I had salt down here, there would probably be some sort of texture where the salt, like there would be more white speckles in here from the salt. That's that's my guess. I don't know. I haven't tried the salt bit, but yeah, probably. That's a great question. Okay, Larry said, I don't find tattoos attractive. Okay, boomer. No. I don't know. It's just an interesting way to express yourself. I don't know if it's attractive or not. I look at it more like, if you just want to express yourself. It's like you dye your hair or you comb your hair in a different way or brush your hair in a different way. To me, it's like that. Like, I'm not looking at it as like, well, whether it's attractive or not. I'm looking at it as like, well, it's just another way that you can express yourself. Jeremy, you never say oops while inking, and you can get a numbering gel for the person. If you're timid, it means you're draw lighter lines, which can be built up, and you can fix most things by working light. Yeah, like there are probably times when I create actual mistakes, but I think that your quality as an artist isn't in avoiding mistakes. It's more like how do you fix mistakes, right? So I think that's more important as an artist than trying to avoid mistakes. So like I can make a mistake easy when creating a picture. Um, and like, who's to call it a mistake to begin with, right? Like, it's kind of up to you whether you consider a mistake. Uh, I feel like whether it's a mistake or not is purely subjective. There might be some objective type mistakes that you might make. I wouldn't know what those are. But anyway, point is that even if you make mistakes and stuff like that, everybody's going to make mistakes. So like, let's just take that out of the equation. So everybody's going to make mistakes. I think the thing that separates you as an artist or like a professional artist, really, like things that you strive for, is not avoiding mistakes. It's like how do you fix them? Like how do you cover? Like if I screwed up this ear, how do I cover that up? Or like when I'm splattering the coffee on it, and there's like a splotch that ends up here, and I didn't want that up there. How do I mop that up? Those are the types of skills that you develop as a those are techniques that you develop as an artist to fix mistakes. And I think that sort of stuff is way more important than trying to like, I don't know, keep from making mistakes. You're gonna make mistakes. That's the given. It's what you do with those mistakes. And sometimes the mistakes are happy accidents. I think Bob Ross coined that term, and I agree with it. It's like sometimes the mistakes are features, and they bring quality to the art that you weren't expecting, and you're happy with. Um, Jeremy, do you have a tattoo? I have two tattoos. I'd like to get more. I'm not very happy with the ones I've got. I got them many years ago, and I haven't had a chance to update them. Um, but yeah, I have two of them. I'd show them off, but they're like terrible. I would like to get them like covered up with like I'm really into like bonsai trees when it comes to tattoos. So like I've got one on my arm. for example. That's part of it. But anyway, I would like to have this like be like a cool bonsai tree or something. That would be cool. I've always liked bonsai trees. I wanted to grow some when I was younger, but then I realized like that that's literally a huge investment of time. But that's kind of like why I like them. Some of those bonsai trees, some people pronounce it bonsai. I pronounce it bonsai. Um, some of the bonsai trees, they're like 1,000 years old. Like some of the ones over in Japan and whatnot. I like the idea of starting a project, an art project that outlasts you. So that's what I like about those trees. Like you could start a bonsai tree today, and it won't even be mature until like it won't even be where you want it to be until after you die. Like 70 years down the road is when that tree is ready to be like art. And then, somebody you don't even know, somebody who's not even born yet, is the person who's maintaining that bonsai tree. Imagine that. Like that's what I love about bonsai trees. I I should really show you guys some of the trees that I really like. There are some at the local, not local, it's up in Cincinnati, but there's a Cron Conservatory for folks that live in the area. But they have a nice collection of bonsai trees up there. I just love the concept of it. So like again, one of these trees, before they're even mature, before they're even considered art, before you're even getting them to look the way you want them to look, it could be like 70 years, right? And I don't plan on living another 70 years myself. So it's like if I started a bonsai today, somebody else is finishing that. I just love that. I just love that aspect of it. Somebody is multiple generations are working on that art. That's what's so great about it. Like 1,000-year-old tree maintained by, I don't know, what is that, like at least 10 generations of people? That's amazing to me. And some of them are like if you go to like a proper bonsai museum, I don't know what these things are called, but imagine 1,000-year-old tree. Imagine when that was started. Like some guys like, "Ah, I'm gonna grow this tree, and I'm not gonna live to see what this tree ends up being, but I'm still gonna do it. I'm still gonna commit to doing that, even though I'm not gonna be around to see it. I love that idea. I love that concept. This guy, this raccoon woke up in the morning. I felt like this raccoon got caught in a rainstorm and woke up like, whoa! Like he woke up like after a thunderstorm, and it's just like his hair is all over the place and stuff like that. I guarantee you, kid does not have a raccoon like this on her wall. This is a special one of a kind raccoon. I like him. I think he's looking really good. Probably some of the stuff I'll do. Oh, we're after the 2 hour mark. I'm sorry. I should wrap this up. Um, some of the stuff I'm going to do offline is I'm going to develop this area down here. This is the part that somebody asked like how long does it need to dry. This stuff right here really needs to pool. So I'm probably like leave that overnight and come back and look at it in this area here as well. So I'll come back and look at how that worked out overnight, and then probably just because like this all is in shadow on the raccoon, I'll want to like add some texture down here like I usually do. Like this is kind of like a little bit flat, so I want to build up more like what you see here through here. But up here, I'm pretty happy with this. The only thing I'm not 100% happy about is like maybe some whiskers coming off, but I'll figure that out. I like the eyes. I might touch up some areas around that, might darken some other bits and stuff. But I like the craziness of this raccoon. I think he's got a good look to him. Might clean up some other areas. Like I feel like some of this can be kind of cleaned up and Like some of this needs to be erased and whitened up a little bit. So I'll work on all that. But anyway, it's past the 2 hour mark and it's a weeknight, so I feel like I should probably hop off. But I appreciate you guys hanging out with me. I think this has been a great conversation. A lot of fun people in the room tonight. Bonsai coffee tree painted and coffee wind. I need to do, yeah, okay, that's a great thing. So like I've been doing mostly wildlife and stuff. I need to branch out with my coffee art and maybe do some other subjects. A bonsai tree would be awesome. That's a great suggestion. Kid says, no, I don't have a raccoon like that. Yep, it's one of a kind. It's gonna be awesome. Great. Um, so yeah, I think I am gonna wrap it up for the night. Raccoon and coffee. It's long overdue. I should have done this a long time ago. I love raccoons. I love it's perfect for the coffee painting aesthetic. So pretty happy with that. But thanks, okay, Larry. Thanks, Larry. All right. So let me go back to here. Anyway, I appreciate you guys hanging out with me on a Wednesday night. Again, I apologize that I wasn't able to do my Tuesday nights that I normally would, even though it's Wednesday night. And tomorrow is Thursday. I'm gonna stick with my Thursday schedule, so expect me to be back tomorrow with a whole nother piece of art. I don't know what I'm gonna do yet, but maybe another coffee painting, maybe not. We'll see how it goes. But I appreciate you guys hanging out with me on a Wednesday night. I know it's an off night for most you guys and everything, but it was fun for me. Hopefully, it was fun for you guys as well. But that's it for me. You guys have a good evening. I'll see you guys. I'll see you tomorrow. So see you then. All right. Bye, guys. Bye.